Okay, my name is Catherine Coumans. I'm research coordinator with an organization called Mining Watch Canada. Mining Watch Canada first became aware of the serious problems at the Canadian-owned Porgera Joint Venture mine in Papua New Guinea in 2000 when we visited the site and saw firsthand the massive environmental damage that was being done by the mine's practice of dumping its toxic mine tailings or mine waste directly into an 800-kilometer-long river system that flows from the mountains where these people live down to the coast of Papua New Guinea. In 2005, thanks to the work of two of our speakers here today, Mining Watch Canada learned of the very serious allegations of human rights abuses as a result of violence by the security guards that are protecting this mine. The violence is against the indigenous population that lives around the mine and who is with us today. Since Canadian gold mining giant Barrick Gold took over the mine in 2006, we've seen a continuous deterioration of the environmental and the human rights situation at this mine site, to the extent that even the traditional landowners, who are part owners of the mine, are here now in Canada to speak out about the abuses that they are suffering. We have with us here today two leaders of an indigenous grassroots human rights group that is local to the community, who will speak first, and two traditional landowners, one of whom will speak here today. These indigenous people from the Pacific island of Papua New Guinea have traveled halfway across the world to inform Canadians of the abuses that they are suffering at the hands of a Canadian mining company in their remote mountain home. But they are also here to support the passage of Bill C-300, which they see as the only chance they have of filing a complaint that will be heard and getting recourse with respect to the abuses that they are suffering at the hands of this Canadian company. I will now turn it over to Mr. Jethro Tulin.
My name is Jethro Tulin. I'm Executive Officer for a grassroots human rights group called Akali Tanga Association. My organization was founded in 2003 to try to raise awareness about the killings, beatings, rapes being perpetrated by security forces at the Porgera Joint Venture mine, now owned by Barrick Gold. In 2005, my organization published a report called The Shooting Fields of the Porgera Joint Venture, in which we documented the grassroots violations of human rights perpetrated against our people by the mine's security forces. Last year, Mr. Taylor Girini from Harvard University and Sarah Kunuki from New York State University testified before your Parliamentary Standing Committee on Foreign Affairs and International Development that they have been investigating the behaviors of the security forces at Barrick's PNG mine and have documented cases of rape, including gang rapes, including physical assaults and killings associated with the mine. We can provide copies of this shocking testimony to the media. Most of these cases of violence by the mine security guards have never had proper police investigations. In one recent case that untypical was brought to court, the security guard was found guilty of killing two people.
My name is Jeffrey Simon. I am also a member of the Akali Tanga Association. I want to tell you about our Barrick's mine in Porgera is contaminating our rivers. The Porgera Joint Venture mine dumps millions of tons of toxic mine waste directly into our 800-kilometer river system that flows from high mountains where we live to the Gulf of Papua. This practice would not be permitted in Canada, and it is having a severe impact on the river system and on the food security of communities near the river. Last year, Norway's government pension fund dropped its shares in Canada. Barrick Gold saying that investment on Barrick's amount to an unacceptable risk of the funds contributing to serious environmental damage. The pension fund added that the company's assertion that its operation do not cause long-term and irreversible environmental damage carry little credibility. We can provide the media with a copy of that report.
My name is Bak Ekepa. I am the chairman of Porgera Land Owners Association. I represent the traditional owners of the land that is now affected by Barrick's Porgera Joint Venture mine. In April 2009, more than 200 troops from PNG Police and Defense Force were deployed in Porgera in an operation named Ipili, Operation Ipili 2009. In this operation, landowners were forcibly evicted from their homes, and more than 300 houses of villages were living within Barrick's gold mine lease are all burned down. My own house was also burned down. Barrick Gold mine hosted these police and military forces and provide them for food. Barrick is therefore complicit in the gross violations of human rights carried out within the mine lease area. Barrick continues to house and feed these police in spite of a court order stating that all police living in the accommodation provided by Barrick should be withdrawn. All of this is now written up in a report by Amnesty International that we can provide a copy to the media. We note that Barrick plans to extend its mine, and we believe that the forcible evictions and house burnings are related to Barrick's mine expansion plan. You have now heard how we live. Our waters are contaminated, our land is degraded by the mine, and we don't have enough land left to grow our food. We are worried about our health because the waste from the mine is all around us. And on top of all that, we are threatened and arrested by the mine's security forces and by our own military that is supporting the mine. We believe that the only solution to all these problems we have told you about is to move away from our traditional lands, which have become uninhabitable. We have asked Barrick repeatedly for a complete resettlement for all the landowners living in the mine lease area according to international standards, so that we can have a more healthy environment for our children. But
by the way of most of the parliamentarians here can support the Bill C-300 so that companies like Barrick who are committing crimes outside of the borders or incidents like killings, ravings, the discharge of tailings directly into the river system, which they can't do it here in Canada, occurring in Papua New Guinea or any other place for that matter. Barrick has about 27 mines, so they do the same outside of Canada, so they can be accountable here in Canada if there is a law. And the only way to do that is if, like Bill C-300 goes through, then they can be answerable to some of these impacts that we are feeling on the ground. This kind of intense security operations are normally carried out with proper planning. So what happened was it was in the morning, early. People were caught off guard. Without any notice, nothing was shown, so they just went in, forced them, burned the houses. The majority of the 300 plus families who own houses and live around that villages were caught by surprise, so nothing was taken out, no notice. It's all on the honesty report. Then the police and Papua New Guinea government and Barrick started, and Barrick denied no knowledge, and the government said they burned some shady houses down, but eventually, finally they admitted to there were some people living in there, and then the honesty that an independent investigation on the matter and established the facts surrounding the area based on evidence that were provided by both parties. Even Barrick was interviewed, we were interviewed, and the government of Papua New Guinea authorities were interviewed also.
How do you know the security forces were Barrick's security forces?
On the recent killings, we have evidence and materials that link them, and the incidents of crime that all of them occurred at the mine site. So you can't find foreign troops coming in to conduct this kind of operations. But on the forced eviction, I think Barrick security forces and the company and the state security forces both were inside the company yard, mine site, before going out to conduct the operations. And state security forces were fed and accommodated inside the mine site, so there's a link between both parties. Even they continue to deny, always a court will only tell complicit in crime.
Forces made up of local residents, or are they foreigners?
Most of the company security forces are specially hired. I mean, ex-Marines and specially hired to protect the company operation.